Hello and welcome to Mangaroos, where we pick a manga on a certain topic. This week, sports, maybe a bit loosely sports, but then we read it. And I'm Alex. I'll be leading the discussion today on the book I picked, Danseur, by George Asakura. And I am joined by...
Primo ballerino, Jason. Hello.
And Dance Noble, Mark.
Wow, you made it to Danseur already.
He's been working hard.
It only took me 12 hours.
Okay. Well, I hope you had been dancing since you were like 7.
I never
that's
stopped.
What it takes. Okay.
Mostly twirling at that age. You began with a lot of twirling.
So maybe, as you can tell from the title, Danseur is about dancing. It's about a certain type of dancing, ballet dancing. It is about a young boy's discovery of ballet, I guess, and then his kind of delayed entry into it because of his the untimely death of his very man father. Macho man.
With the ponytail that would make Steve Seagal cry.
Yeah. And he's like, did you guys know about this Jeet Kune Do?
Yeah,
I sure did.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Really? I didn't know it at all. I was like, did he make up?
No. Jason and I used to go to the same Jeet Kune Do dojo when we were really into our Bruce Lee phase.
That's how we met. We were sparring partners for years.
That's how I got this scar.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought you were supposed to use just your fists. You get a scar from that?
Well, I learned the hard way.
Okay.
I wasn't good at it for a long time. No, Jeet Kune Do famously, like Mark mentioned, Bruce Lee. Mm-hmm. Did he?
He invented it.
I want to say he invented it. Yeah.
Oh, he invented it. Okay, so that's why there was a heavy emphasis on Bruce Lee then. Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought it was just because like Bruce Lee is just like a famous guy. Yeah, his father was like an action director. Is that what you call it in English? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Action choreographer? Yeah.
Action
I didn't really think about
choreographer
it.
or something.
It is a bit vague. I'm not totally sure what his dad's job was. I guess he coordinated fight scenes in movies.
It seems like he was like a movie bigwig for the action stuff because everyone showed up to his funeral.
Everyone did. That's
a lot of people.
That's how you know when you've made it. I didn't know if he was like an action movie director or if he was just like a choreographer for action fights.
Like I thought maybe he's the choreographer because he's so like in with Miyoka. It was Miyoka, right?
Yeah.
The Jeet Kune Do instructor. But anyway, this comic is still actually serialized in Big Spirits. I was surprised because it's on volume 24 and it's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've only made it to volume 3 so far. So
they must have done at least most of the ballets by now.
Can I have to ask a question. I was extremely confused by this because I picked up a volume 1 and it said it was the publishing date was April 2022 and it said it was the first printing. So I was like, oh, this series is pretty new. But yeah, so like what's going on? It's been going on for a while.
That could have been a lie, or it could be that they repackaged it and reprinted it because the anime came out in 2022 by Studio Mappa. And that's
my copy is the same. Now that I'm looking at it, my copy is also April.
I think this has come back in a big way since the anime, which got a worldwide release,
right?
And it's really brought this. I don't want to say it was obscure, but I mean I had never heard of it.
Yeah. Well, like Big Spirits stories don't get usually that like broad a launch, I guess. Like it's not like Shonen Jump type.
Big in name only.
Yeah, big in spirit only.
Big in ambition.
Big in ambition.
Every
There's a lot of big
once in a while they have a big hit.
On.
This is a huge kind of side note, not really related to this particular manga, but like Big Comic Spirits, does it have the highest batting average? Like the highest general overall quality per series? Maybe not the biggest hits, but like
I haven't read everything that's come out of it, so I can't say how many misses there are.
I don't know that.
I can't think of anything from Big Comic Spirits that I've read and gone like, well, that really sucked. Anyway, side note.
Good editors. Whatever you're doing, keep up the great work.
Yeah, I guess I'll just pick up the magazine one day and then just see through it. Like I was saying before we were recording, Mark, that I made the mistake in the past of picking up Shonen Jump and reading it from front cover to back cover. And I found some things that I was happy maybe are not in the main spotlight.
Best to just put it back.
Yeah, they publish a whole lot.
But anyway, I actually looked up a little bit about George Asakura because I was wondering if
the
it
name,
was,
right? Yeah.
where it was coming from, and it's apparently from like Gatchaman. There's apparently a character called like Joe or George or something in Gatchaman.
So you're talking about her pen name. She got it from a character in Gatchaman.
Yeah, she got it from a character in Gatchaman. And then it looked like she like started drawing manga in like 1994, but then was like having a really hard time like getting off the ground.
It was post-bubble.
Yeah, and then she made a manga that's actually a shoujo manga, Koi Bumi Biori, and that became a movie. And then from there, she just started,
She hit her stride.
Yeah, and then started this one in 2015. So yeah, it is not the first time it should have been published if it was 2022. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's repackaged.
No, but she's been around for a long time. She's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised. She's also in Feel Young, which is of Hoshi Sensei fame for us.
Yeah. Bringing it back to episode 2.
Yep. So yeah, it's just interesting seeing who's in like what magazine and what kind of stuff they draw.
Do you think they all hang out like at the same magazine club?
I know that they have dinners.
Really?
The publishers host like big dinners where they all like hang out. So
There's actually an issue of Bakuman that's kind of about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the manga.
I've only heard about them. I've never been to one. Must be cool.
Like what kind of place do they go to? Is it like
I guess
super
they go to
high
like
class?
a hotel and like one of those
Imperial
like convention
Ballroom?
hall type, like ballroom things. I guess that'd be really cool to go to, but I don't think I'll ever get invited. Maybe you guys will get.
We just got to keep
day.
making more episodes of this.
If you're listening, whoever books those dinners, if you're listening to this, hey, at least you don't have to invite all 3 of us, but maybe just one of us.
You know the email address.
Pick your favorite roux. But anyway, let's get on to the actual questions. So our theme was sports manga. So Mark, what did you think about this manga?
This gave me a window into the world of ballet, which is a world that I have never even bothered to even think about before. I've had some friends in my life who have been like, they were all women, very strong women, who spent their entire lives going to ballet practice. I don't know anyone who is like a professional ballet dancer or a dancer or anything, but I know people who like even into their 20s and early 30s were like still going to ballet. And it kind of blew, I thought it was super cool, but it also kind of blew my mind because I was like, I took piano for like 5 or 6 years when I was in elementary school. So, but in my mind, it was kind of like in the same category. But so I knew it must be some like a real passion when you get into that world. But I didn't know anything about it. And this Danseur, it really kind of gave you a glimpse into what makes that world so special and how people get enamored with the glamour, really. And this is something the art form has been going on for centuries. It's absolutely it's absolutely fantastic. But what I found is that I needed to do a lot more studying up on ballet and what is out there, because I've just heard names and I've seen tropes and whatnot, but I really don't know enough. And this was a great introduction. Jason, what about you?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
So I was just writing down the phrase "enamored with the glamour." I want to remember that for later. That's going to come in handy at some point. Yeah. So when it comes to ballet, we'll probably get more into this later, but I don't get it. Like I never understood the appeal. I still don't. Sorry, George Asakura, after reading this. So I'm a bit conflicted about this particular manga because I really love the art style. I thought it's got this incredible sense of fluidity from start to finish. It never stops moving. Even when the images on the page are static, they don't feel static. It feels like almost like everything is constantly
There's
underwater.
like a lot of dance scenes, but they actually do kind of move. Yeah.
Totally. But even the scenes that aren't meant to depict dancing, it feels like everything is constantly in motion and everyone is gorgeous to look at. But I did not care about the story at all. So I'm glad that it had like this sense of propulsiveness. It really pulled me through start to finish. But yeah, the ballet stuff, the characters, none of it really connected for me.
I think also you have a little allergy to katakana, maybe. But what I also like when
Didn't even think about that, but yeah,
when
there's
there's
a lot of
French
katakana.
when there's French words in katakana, it makes everything a little bit more difficult when they're like pulling out all the ballet
That
terms.
is true. There were a lot of like asterisks and then like definitions
Yeah.
of what these things mean. Yeah, that's true. I might have glossed over some of that stuff.
Yeah, like I actually did take ballet when I was a little girl.
Really? Wow.
For how long?
But only for like 3 years, because then I realized
Then
that
the
like
trial
my
period was
body shape was just like not gelling with what
Really?
a ballerina should be. But I really liked to dance, so I took modern dance, ballet, and jazz all
Oh, wow.
for like 3 years. I was like a danceaholic. I don't know, but I feel like classical ballet, yeah, it can be a bit of a drag. I mean, just at least to me. But like modern dance and ballet is like really powerful. I don't know. I'm not like an expert, but I've seen some performances which kind of reminded me of the beginning of the manga when little Junpei is watching a dance recital, and the kiddles, like all the little kid recitals are out of the way, and there's actually somebody who's like good at dancing, like a professional comes on stage, and he's got that tattoo, and he's got the shaggy hair and the
That guy's pretty
muscles.
cool.
Oh yeah, that guy
And
was.
he's just like ripping up the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making the earth shake. I think that was that's what really sucked me in at the beginning. It was a great start, strong start. to
Yeah,
this.
it is a really strong start, I feel.
Alex, what did you think of the overall first volume, though?
I thought that the first volume, I liked it, but I was curious to see where it would go. So then, I had a feeling like I might be curious about it because people had been talking about it. So I just bought the first 3 volumes just to see, like, if I would run through them. And I did, but it changes so much. Like, so much changes in each volume.
Oh, really?
It's like
Yeah. So it's like it's really satisfying though, because you don't know where it's going to go.
That's true.
And then, because, I was going to say this with the other question, but, with shonen, like, typical sports manga, you know that there's the local, like, competition. And then there's the
Captain
professional
Tsubasa. Yeah.
competition, and then there's like
Classic.
a regional
Yep.
qualifier, and then there's like the nationals, right?
And then the author takes a little break and comes back a
And
year
then
later with the world
takes a break,
championship.
and then maybe goes international if they're feeling like really like they're doing it well. But like with this, you don't know because there's not like that clear path to victory. Like
So
you just
right
know,
now I'm obsessed with Kane Banashi, right? The rakugo manga.
Yeah.
And it's a rakugo manga, but it also follows that exact same pattern where like it starts with really little local venue
Right.
shows, and then and I'm like, it's rakugo, so there can't be the international level. Like,
yeah, I know. Like,
What's
what
gonna
other
happen to
countries
Endgame
doing
here?
Rakugo?
is she gonna appear on Shoten? Is that like the last thing?
I feel
guess
like
you can
that's
go to
the last
Palau.
stage.
Show that like when you become the
Yeah, like the
MC.
first female like show tenor. Like I don't even know what they're called.
I mean, the collaboration opportunity
Zabuton
there is
guys.
so obvious, but like anyway,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So it's just like it breaks the mold a little bit in that, but there is actually like the local recital thing that does happen, which is
interesting.
like
So what volume is that in?
Is volume 3, and actually it's
Okay.
pretty hilarious what happens because the
Whoa,
main
wait, but
character
we're
is
only-
like sorry.
We're only supposed to talk
We're,
about
dig- we're
volume
digging
one.
too deep.
Sorry,
a
I'm just
strict
saying
policy
that
on this show.
knowing what you know about Junpei and that he's a bit of a loose cannon.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
He's
no, he is.
unpredictable.
He is.
He lets it loose. That's all I'll say.
Oh,
He doesn't,
wow.
not in any inappropriate way. But, but anyway, are we okay to go on to the first question?
Now,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
let's
thank
do
you.
it.
Okay.
I think that added a lot. Thank you.
That's fine. So our theme was sports manga, and as I said, like, I think that there are some sports manga things, but some sports manga, like, divergences in this. What would you say are some sports tropey things that you saw, and, like, what did you think made it differ? Mark?
I think one of the big parts about a sports manga is that it's, I don't know. I mean, you mentioned the competitions and the different levels and whatnot. And I think there's a clear path of progression where you eventually dominate and become the very best. I think that is tried and true. It's been done so many times. But also, I think a lot of the sports manga that's been really popular over the years has been sports oriented. And maybe I haven't gotten deep. Team sports oriented.
Okay.
Team sports oriented. I forgot a very important word. And I don't know. Are there?
There's like skateboarding, you know, like there are solo sports and like skiing, things like that.
Yeah, but are there successful manga about that?
Yeah, I guess there are no like. I don't know.
It's really hard to do because I think
singles tennis.
Tennis no Oji-sama.
Oh, the Prince.
Yeah, Prince of Tennis. That was big.
The Prince. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a swimming manga. You know, there's some solo stuff.
Okay, well, I guess it's all been done. So this fits right smack dab in the middle of the sports trope. But I think that this isn't. I mean, having read the first volume, I don't think this is a sports manga at all, really, at its heart. I think it uses sports as a vehicle to take us on a journey of self-discovery, and it's probably not just for Junpei. I think it's for Duo. I think it's for all these people that are coming in, and it's more of a classic shonen manga to me. I think if you got like the rivalry coming up. At the end, they introduce it really well. Like, I mean, Junpei is this. I mean, maybe he's got like that tensai piece to his puzzle where he's got some natural ability. I mean, he's got super stretching stats. And I mean, you don't have to re-roll for that.
Jeet Kune Do.
He's got Jeet Kune Do
skills.
and skills, absolutely elite, whatnot. But then there's that other guy, Duo, who has been maybe dancing all of his life, and then who is gonna be Siegfried or what is it, Rothschild at the end for Swan Lake? Yeah. So they introduced the rivalry, which is more of like a shonen thing to me. It's like a Naruto Sasuke type deal. I don't know.
I feel like anything that could make this, like any argument you could make for this being a sports manga is also just an argument you could make for it being a good story, right? Which is like, you think about the best sports movies, it's you care about what happens on the field or, you know, in the competition because of who the character is. So you have to like create a compelling character first, give them motivation. But like, that's any story. And then also like in this case, Junpei is like kind of resistant to the idea of being a ballerina. Ballerino?
Yeah, I just call him ballet dancer.
Man?
Ballet dancer, yeah.
Ballet
dancer.
man.
Let's go with that. You know, they have to almost like convince him to do it, even though clearly he's predisposed to being good at it, which is kind of a sports movie thing. Like
It is.
So, you know, you could, if you want to be really generous, I could see why this would be considered a sports manga, but it feels pretty tenuous. I wouldn't put it all the way in the sports category, but I would say there's like, if there's a Venn diagram of like stuff that's cool from sports stories and stuff that's in this manga, it's not insignificant overlap.
I guess it was just like, I guess I shouldn't talk about this because it's going to go to a different episode, but there's another sports manga that in the beginning of it, around the beginning of it, I think that there's like a flashback to the super pro person, or the person that they aspire to.
I think I know the one you're referring to. I'm very much looking forward to talking about that. And I was like,
that's very similar.
Wait, did they not just do that in the opening pages of this book?
Yeah.
Kind of every sports manga starts that way.
Okay. Well, you gotta set the stage.
Yeah, so just the way that it
get people
opens.
interested. Like, hey, are you interested in this thing? Here's someone who's good at doing it.
Here's someone who's good at it.
Because for a long time, we're going to be talking about someone who's not
the tattoo is
good
pretty
at it.
badass. It was like a lion in a sun or something.
I bet there's a few people out there who have gotten a tattoo after seeing this.
I hope.
If you're listening and you have that tattoo, write in and send us a photo.
Well, it's in a kind of precarious place.
Well, just send it to me then, I guess.
Yeah, it'd have to be like a topless photo. So, but anyway, was there a favorite scene or one that stood out to you, dance or non-dance?
So actually, my single favorite panel is so one of the first times Junpei visits the dance studio, it's like the middle of the little girls' class, like all the little 6-year-olds, which really reminded me of my daughter because she went to hula dance classes for a while.
Aww.
But there's one scene where the teacher asks them all to become, what does she say? Like, make yourselves into a little ball or something?
Yeah.
What
to
did
show
she
him
say?
like flexibility.
Yeah, and they all like... They all do little like yoga pose where they curl up. And it's just like it's so adorable.
No, that was like something straight out of Ghibli.
Totally,
it was
it's
very
super cute. So that was my favorite. But in terms of like dramatic stuff, the first couple of chapters they keep hinting at like there's this boy duo in the room, right? And we don't see him for a long time, but like people will go up to the door and talk to him through the door, and I'm like, what's
he's
going
like the
on?
hunchback of
He's
the
so
Godai
angsty.
ballet studio.
And then he's finally revealed, and he's just this ballet dancer with headphones on, and I was like, oh. I was like, okay. So I guess I really loved the setup for that scene, and then the delivery was kind of like, eh. But yeah, the tension was good. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, no, well, I think we've all talked about the opening scene being absolutely powerful. I think that kind of sucks you and grabs your attention. It's a great way to start off with a bang. When the scene when Ruo is dancing late at night by himself in the studio was pretty cool. And Junpei is watching, and then the cop comes up and is like, all right, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And
I feel like I've been like being a foreign person walking at night in Japan. I feel like
you got to be careful.
yeah.
I can relate.
Relatable scene.
Relatable scene.
What are
Mark,
you
you
doing?
talking about the 2-page spread where like half of it is in shadow and the other half you can just see sort of the outline of
it's
parts
like
of the
very
studio.
dark.
Yeah, no, it's a super dark one.
That's beautiful couple of pages.
It is absolutely beautiful. So that was one of the things that I thought was the best. But the one that I thought was like really tropey and out of place was the dad dying suddenly, even though that was really sad. It was just like they're living and he's got a happy life, and then he's got a heart attack and his father passes away, which changes everything.
Yeah, on like what, page 8?
Yeah, on like page 8. It's really early on in the story.
It's like the Bambi suddenly becoming alone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really peripheral elements to the story. Like, oh, by the way, his dad dies. Also, his dad was an action movie director. Also, he's really good at this martial art. And his dad's friend runs the martial arts.
Yeah,
like, there's all this stuff that gets
Yeah.
really boom, 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 boom introduced. But it all
it's
kind of
fast-paced.
like hangs together. Yeah,
it does.
all
It
works.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Junpei is a boy with a lot of people pin their hopes and dreams onto him.
He's definitely the chosen one.
Yeah, he's definitely the chosen one. But my next question was, he repeats a lot about, like you said before, he's kind of reluctant about, like, men don't do ballet, they shouldn't do ballet, it's weird, it's, like, not cool because it's girly. Do you think he actually believes any of that? Like, why do you think he says that to himself? Mark?
Oh, I mean, it's 100%. He's just in self-denial. I mean, I think... So this is basically the message that George Asakura is trying to get across to the world. Like, hey, be who you are. Just you do you. It doesn't matter what Hyo says or anyone else at school says. It's not about that. People are going to be people. You got to do what makes you happy. And as you go through this first part of the story, you can see that he tries a lot of things, and he's good at a lot of things. He can do a lot of things, but the only thing that gives him like the electrifying experience that he's craving is ballet. And then he's trying to find in his head cognitive reasons for why he shouldn't do that, why this, and even the people around him, like his dad, when he was still around, was like, do you really want to do it? But also his dad, I think, did a cool dad thing, and he was like, yeah, you really want to do this, so go for it and whatnot. But the other people around him in his school, obviously they're going to want him to come to soccer practice or keep doing what he's been doing. When you try and do something that starts to deviate from what everyone else in the group is doing, there's going to be pushback every time.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of a different take. I agree with most of what you said, and I think those are all elements, right? But for me, it all comes back to that one panel, like right after the funeral. The dad's friend is there, and he's like, "Well, Junpei, now you need to take care of your family. You need to watch after your mom and your sister because you're the only man in the family." And I think that probably weighs really heavily on him, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got all this stuff he wants to do. It's not just the ballet, right? Like, he's interested in starting a band with his friend who maybe he has feelings for, if their eye contact is anything to go by. But, like, there's all this, like, he's trying to figure out who he is. He's at that age where everything feels way more important and outsized than it really is. And I think that thing is just at the back of his head, like, hey, I've got to take care of my family because I'm the only man in the family, so I got to do manly stuff, right? So I think that's a huge part of it as well.
Yeah. I thought that was definitely like a big part of like he doesn't want to disappoint like the honor of his father, especially because he hangs out in his dad's man cave like all the time.
Also, if I were gone, my man cave would be out of there in like 6 months.
I also thought that, like, wow, Japan is a place where space is a huge luxury. If someone passed away, even though they all love him, obviously, he's like beloved daddy, his stuff is going to the curb just because, like, we need the prime real estate, right?
There's so much stuff in that room, too.
There's
a piano, there's a weightlifting bench, there's a ballet bar.
I mean, this guy has... Oh, gosh. Yeah, he was living the life. No, he must have been an action movie director then, actually, to think about. Like,
they have, like,
I do
an
think it's
actual
cool that
big
he was
house.
a full-grown man, and on the outside of his bedroom door, there's this big handmade sign that says, Ore no heya. My room.
No girls allowed.
I'm going to get that from my room.
I actually thought about it. I was like, maybe I need one of those. It might give me some privacy, you know?
Do you have the space to have your own man cave?
You're looking
Well, if I put that thing on the door, I will.
Okay.
Who's going to walk past that?
Yeah,
you know?
your cave is where you find it.
It's right there on the sign.
So next, I also wanted to ask you guys, what would you do if your son came up to you and asked if he could start taking ballet lessons?
Hell yeah, do it. Go for it. Try it.
Yeah. My son's 4 years old, so if he said that, I'd be like, whatever, dude. You know, have fun. Give it your best shot. And if he came to me 3 weeks later and was like, I want to be a race car, I'd be like, okay, you know, try that.
Take him to race car school.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, like, you know, I would certainly encourage it. My son does these crazy performances sometimes at night where he'll just start like leaping through the house and like singing these off-key musical numbers.
Leaping, so doing his 540.
Totally. Like, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, no, if it gets him out of the house and it tires him out enough to make him go to sleep, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it would definitely tire him out. Like, any dance class, I feel like, will destroy your child.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah,
How to tire out my
being a
This is
kid
a really
that
good
took
thing.
dance lessons, like, it's very exhausting, so.
I will say, though, today he said to me, Daddy, I'm going to become a basketball player. And a single tear rolled down my cheek. And I said, I will attend every one of your games. And he said to me in his serious 4-year-old boy voice, thank you. And it was one of the best interactions we've had yet.
You have the best interaction with him. My son is also 4 years old, and I ask him regularly what he wants to be when he grows up, and he always says, Shinkansen. And I'm like, that's great.
That's not how it works.
It's not,
But maybe in the future. Who knows?
maybe in the future.
Maybe you can go to Shinkansen school.
Who knows?
They might have them around. This is Japan.
Yeah.
Anything's
Yeah.
possible. You can be a Shinkansen, maybe. But anyway, so this is a story about a boy discovering the power of ballet and not becoming a Shinkansen, unfortunately.
I would read that, though.
But I think we touched upon this a little bit, but I just want to hear a little bit more if you have anything to add about like your knowledge or history of ballet. Like Mark, you said you knew a lot of people who partake or partook in
I did.
ballet.
I have friends who still go to ballet off and on. I think it gets a little bit harder once you get into your 30s. But I knew
Everything does.
Everything does. Once you start having a family, everything changes. But I know nothing about the. Is it a sport? Is it an art? Like I don't, the practice itself.
Yeah.
I was learning a lot. I knew that there are French names for everything, but I didn't know about Danseur noble. The principal main male dance. I didn't know about that. I had heard of Swan Lake, but I've never seen it. So I was
really?
Yeah, I was learning a lot.
I thought that was like a mandatory like school like experience of like going to see. I mean, maybe I just was in like a ritzy area. But like, what about you, Jason? Were you taken to a Swan Lake performance when you were a child to try to like culturalize you?
Everything would have turned out differently if I had been. When I was a child, they took us to what is that? Mousetrap? Is there a stage production called Mousetrap? There is, right?
I don't know.
I remember
what
being.
Happens? Like, is it dance or like?
I think it's like a murder mystery thing, like Clue or something. I believe. But when it comes to ballet, I gotta say, you know how some people have that condition called face blindness, where they just cannot recognize people's faces or whatever it is. So I have. It's undiagnosed, but I have a condition called dance blindness, where no matter how much I watch people dance, I can't perceive it as being like a beautiful art form. Oh my God. I just think it looks completely silly. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've Googled this on multiple occasions to be like, am I the only one?
Yeah, no, I've never heard about this. Maybe
it's really. I struggle to articulate.
I'm not gonna doubt you that I believe your story. I believe it.
No, I mean, I love music. I like acting. You know, obviously, lots of other forms of art appeal to me. But so I've Googled this to see like, am I the only one? And there are subreddits of people that are like, I think dancing just looks like people moving around in stupid ways. And I was like,
God.
I'm not alone. It's great.
Oh.
So.
It's like a new world for me.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I've tried to appreciate it. I kind of like, you know, the musical group Perfume.
Yeah.
I kind of like some of the stuff they do, but that to me sometimes barely qualifies as dance. But yeah, so
they're not the biggest like dancing type.
Yeah, they kind of just move around. They kind of just move around
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, interesting. But yeah, no. Ever since I was a kid, I would see ballet, and I would just be like, "Who cares?" So
you would have been in the audience with Junpei.
Yeah. When Junpei fell asleep, I was like,
I was
like so relatable, Junpei. I'm right there with you.
Can we talk about that scene though? Like when he was falling asleep because he wasn't into it, but he was like looking at his phone at the same time, and he wasn't really paying attention.
Which you should never do in a theater. Don't look at your phone.
Don't look at your phone.
Was he looking at his phone during the performance? Though,
I think he may have been sneaking a few peeks.
Yeah, we'll never know for sure.
It was only when he put it away that he started to discover the true magic. I feel like that was a secret message from the author.
Yeah, kids, put away your smartphone.
Can we comment on the one? There's a couple panels where they're using a program called Wine.
Which
is like, wine and lime.
Yeah, but remember like that 5-second period in history when people were doing vines?
Where Vine was a thing.
I thought about that. Yeah.
That's why I was so confused. I was like, how did this come out in 2022? But they're talking about Vine.
No. It's older. That's why.
Yeah, it is older. Yeah, because that's gone now. Yep.
We miss you.
But they are doing kind of stuff on their smartphones, and there is a little bit of like bullying going on, which is
hints
hinted
of bullying.
in this. Yeah, but actually in volume 2 it gets more hardcore. The bullying, but that kind of goes to my question about what you think about Junpei and Hyota's friendship, because like they kind of had a period where they're away from each other. Like he went to a different school, and then they ended up in the same school again, and now he's kind of like a different person. Have you ever had that experience of like, well, growing up, you know, like when you're in elementary school, human relationships are one way, and then in middle school or later they're a different way? I don't know what you thought about that.
I mean, it's so relatable, right? Like, so in elementary school, it doesn't really count, because I remember when I was in 3rd grade, I had one group of friends, and then like we disagreed on some like the stupidest thing, like we were playing football or something, and somebody got angry about something, and then starting the next day, we were not friends anymore, and then we were just never friends again after that. And
wait, how old were you again?
Third grade.
How old is that again? Like I'm just like completely
10?
worse. 10. Oh, okay.
But like a completely
that seems like a volatile age. Yeah.
Changed to a different group of friends, like as if you can just switch like that. But my best friend and I in high school, we were like super, super close. We made movies together. We went on like these long ambling car rides together. We like talked about everything, as close as two friends can be, right? And then after high school ended, he went to film school. I was supposed to go to film school, but at the last minute I was like, no, I'm going to go to university. And now he is like a sponsored mountain climber guy who has married a Cirque du Soleil performer.
Whoa.
And I'm whatever the hell I am. So he won, clearly.
Oh,
but
no.
like, no, I just kidding.
There
but
is
like,
no makegumi.
when, you know, like, I could never have imagined how different our trajectories would be from those few years that we were together. You know what I'm saying? So,
Do
yeah,
you,
I
do you
could
still
relate
keep
to
in
that.
contact on Lime?
We send each other wines, very,
Little
very short
wines.
videos.
Okay.
No, we don't even like, we're aware of each other vaguely. Like, we'll cross paths online every once in a while, but no, it's just weird how that can happen, right? What about you, Mark? I feel like you've probably got some good friendship stories.
Yeah, no. So it was, the question was like, did you ever have a friend you felt became a different person? I was going to say, for me myself, I never felt like I changed, but I did see a lot of friends change, and many times it hurt like hell. And there would be some really personal stories here, but I think I'll go for a funny one. I was probably in the 7th grade, and I had a best friend.
Chunibyo. You were a chuni.
Yeah, it could
Prime
be.
age for
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and my friend had gone to like summer camp or whatnot, or he went to visit relatives, and he was gone for like a couple of weeks. And then while he was gone, I think my cousin had come over, and I had some other friends I was hanging out. Anyway, he came back, and I was like spitting out all these new bands that I had been listening to, and it's like, oh, Mark, you got so cool while I was gone. This is amazing. Like, we were hanging out, and he was like, oh yeah, yeah, let me listen to that CD, and because this is when you still listen to CDs. And then after that, I was like, well, you know, it's also getting that time where I need to jump on the computer because I'm doing the Star Wars sim, and it's my turn to I'm gonna do a move with my capital shifts. And he was like, Mark, I take all that back. You're the biggest dork.
Oh,
So you almost became the friend that became a different person for the cooler, but
I almost
it was
did,
an
but then-
illusion.
But then I was Star Wars simming on the side, and he did not like that. He let me have hell for that, and rightly so. But it was a lot of fun. I would never take that back.
just shows what a well-rounded person you are, Mark.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys never like like teased your friends in the past. Like, I don't know how much this like because like Junpei does the thing where, you know, he's like, you know, last one is like a rotten egg, and like Kyoto's always last. Like Kyoto's always crying. Like Kyoto's like the weaker one. And like I don't think he meant for it to be like bullying, but Hyota,
But it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Hyota
Definitely was hurt.
took it that way.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to generalize, but I do think it's different with guys, boys, you know, at a young age. It's just, again, it goes back to that, like, what does it mean to be a manly, cool dude, right? Like, and it's fun to have this conversation coming off of our talk about Captain Harlock, right? Where, like,
Yeah.
if you're really a man, you will join me on this space journey. But it's like, well, if you're really a man, you're going to like tease your friends and push each other's boundaries and see how far you can push one another, right? And in my experience, I don't know if girls generally do that with each other.
Yeah, I mean,
with their friends, right?
didn't really have that experience, but I'm sure there are people who I have seen girls like kind of alienate other girls, but like that's like ignoring them and not like saying like, well, you're the weakest, or like you're always the most emotional, or like you're the one that loses all the time, like that kind of thing. Like not like that, but more like just ignoring and like rejecting.
excluding
I feel.
from
Yeah,
the social
excluding.
group.
Yeah.
Which,
But-
interestingly, to me, those traits that you just described, Alex, that sounds like the kind of thing that I would expect to appear in, like, if this was a ballet story focusing around a group of girls who are going to ballet school, you know?
Did you ever
Those sound
see,
like-
was it Black Swan?
I guess that's kind of what I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of that, right? Like, just,
Yeah, there's a lot of competition. And, like, I actually am happy in this that Miyako isn't being, like, hounded by... Maybe it's going to come up, though. I'm sure it's going to come up that right now she's the only, like, female ballet dancer in this, like, first volume. So it's nothing about, like, how she has to deal with, like, body image or other girls, like, picking on her, because like I imagine like a lot of body shaming could be something.
Oh, for sure.
That
Well, they
would
body
happen,
shame.
yeah.
Her mom body shames
she
Junpei.
does.
Yeah, she does.
Why are you so
Yeah,
short,
yeah.
bro?
And she body
Yeah.
shames for that, and she body shames him into quitting soccer because he's
Oh
going to put on
yeah, because
muscle
of
that
too
doesn't
many
need.
muscles. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of a segue, but like, did either of you find the family dynamic in this in the ballet family like kind of creepy? So we've got the mother who runs this ballet studio, who's
Yeah.
like highly pressuring this strange neighborhood boy to dance with her daughter for free at
Yeah,
her studio.
it is a
She's
little
giving him
weird, yeah.
free lessons. Meanwhile, her cousin lives in a room and doesn't talk to anybody but practices ballet at night.
It's like
And now the
her nephew. She like
Right,
keeps her
right.
nephew in the
Right.
house.
Who she keeps in a room
A mysterious
until-
blonde-haired nephew, by the way.
until a rival presents himself, at which point she decides to, pit them off against each other.
Yeah.
So it's some creepy shit going on. Maybe it's just the mom that I find
It
creepy.
is a little weird, but I'm sure she like you find out a bit more about the mom later. I mean, not so much in 3, but you do know that she's actually she was part of a ballet troupe under this woman who's like the queen of ballet of Tokyo. So like she probably was
Esmeraldas.
in a very she was probably in a very like high competitive, like high tension like type atmosphere.
She was playing on another level.
She was
basically.
playing on another level, yeah. So
So this is
like, yeah.
nothing. This is like Asa Mishima shit right
yeah,
here.
yeah, and she like I think it's mentioned a bit in this book of that she's going solo with her own studio.
Yeah.
So she's
yep.
breaking off from her like mentor and starting her own thing.
Did anyone else notice that the studio looks exactly like every Noah dance studio out there?
Yeah,
I don't
it
know if you
does.
guys have been to a Noah dance studio, but yeah,
I mean, I've been to like a
I can't say I have
rental
noticed
studio
that.
space in like Nakameguro, which is like similar vibes. Like,
Just get a couple of friends together, go dance.
yeah. Actually, we did a nomikai in a dance studio. It was just because a friend was like, it was like his business thing of like, he's like, I'm going to own a dance studio and then people are going to rent out the space for like yoga and dance and whatever. And this was way before COVID, so I don't know how it's gone for him since COVID, but pre-COVID, that was like a great idea because there were a lot of like yoga schools and dance studio things around like that area. Nakameguro area is a big dance studio hotspot.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So if you want to,
Steer clear of Nakameguro.
yeah, if you want to steer clear of Nakameguro,
Nakamegs.
there's a lot of people moving their bodies in like
I don't care
different
for that.
ways. You don't care for it at all.
No,
Woman
don't
perfectly
care for that
still.
Nakamega.
What about when people are pop locking?
Oh yeah.
Breakdancing? Yeah.
I mean,
well,
that's more of a gakuge, daigaku. You got to go down
Yeah.
2 stations to get to that.
I've always found that somewhat amusing. Like the classic Vin Diesel breakdancing instructional video. If you haven't seen that, it's one of the highlights of the early internet.
Oh wait, I actually wanted to ask this question and then I skipped it. That Junpei is kind of like, as I said before, he's got a lot of people's hopes and dreams kind of pinned on him.
He does.
Like maybe, at some point he says to Miyoka, like, I will become an action director like my father.
Yep.
And then he says, sure, let's start a band to
Yeah.
Hyota.
Junpei says a lot of things.
Yeah. And then his soccer team is like, be part of the soccer team and we're going to do an away training camp. And he's like, sure, I'll be there. Like he says yes to everything. Are you guys that sort of person, or are you a boundary setting person, or have you pursued something just to please others?
I'm totally the kind of person who would pursue things to make other people happy. I hate letting people down. I love coming through for people. It gives me so much satisfaction, and I think most people also like would rather come through for someone and follow through in a process promise than let people down. But for me it's been a pattern all my life where I would like go above and beyond for my friends, for my teammates or whatnot, for that person, it's a really good thing, but sometimes it's to the detriment of other people, other relationships, other priorities in my life. And I see a lot of myself in Junpei in that sense, where I feel like I would go and I would find a way to make it work, but it's not sustainable. And if he, I mean, I guess this is just the beginning of the story, and eventually he'll have to choose. But yeah, you can't keep doing all those things.
He's got too much on his plate.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if it was like, so I don't know anything about Swan Lake other than it is a famous ballet. Like I could answer the Jeopardy question, right? But like, that appears on Jeopardy for idiots. But anyway, like, I'm almost wondering if it's like Junpei's character trait is mirroring something that one of the characters in Swan Lake does, like trying to take on too many things and trying to please too many people at the same time. I don't know if you can have that.
From my understanding of Swan Lake, it's just like a pretty simple love story.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if you could have that level of narrative in a dance.
Is there dialogue in ballet? I'm sorry, I don't even know.
There's not really dialogue, so you pretty much just know the story, and then you go to see it like played out in the way that they choose to play it out, which is usually like, set scenes and stuff, from my understanding, or whatever I've seen. Swan Lake is there's the Prince Siegfried, who is this prince who's just going hunting in the woods, as you do when you're royalty.
What else are you
and
gonna
then
do?
there's all these swans, and they're like pretty hot. And actually one of them is a princess, Odette.
Shit.
Yeah, but she's been transformed, right, by the evil Baron von Rothbart.
What a bad baron. So wait, who's higher up politically, the baron or the prince?
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know. I don't know, but like in magic terms, I guess Baron von Rothbart, because he can turn ladies into swans and keep them...
I think that automatically gives you an edge.
It is an edge. That's an edge giver.
Yeah, and then apparently has like an evil daughter, Odile, or Dial. I don't know how to say her name, and she's the black swan that tricks the prince into thinking that it's Odette.
Interesting.
But so he's like fooled by her, and then thinks, okay, I'm going to marry her, but it's not her. So feels betrayed because he's now with another woman.
Classic.
But then he realizes and then goes to her, and of course they both die together in the lake. So in
the lake?
Yeah.
There's a lake by my house. I'm going to have to look at that differently next time I walk by there.
So like that's my understanding of the story. And so there's two parts that are the two male characters of the ballet, is the Prince Siegfried and then the Baron von Rothbart.
Wait, does the Baron get his comeuppance in the end?
Like, I don't know, does he die? Like, maybe he dies too. Maybe everyone dies, because, like, I don't know.
Did they all fall into the lake?
Maybe I should have looked more into this. But, like, in this story, it's hard to tell because of what happens in Volume 3. The story gets kind of warped. So I don't know the true end, actually. But do you guys, do you consider yourself more of a Siegfried or a Baron von Rothbart? I just wanted to ask for kicks, Jason.
Well, I've never turned anyone into a swan. Jason, what about you?
Well, I'm trying to think, what would I be more likely to do on the weekend? Go out hunting, or I think I'd sooner at least try to turn someone into a swan than I would go hunting. So I guess I'm a Baron von Rothbart. Thank you. I'm not sure I could successfully do it, but I would at least try. I probably wouldn't try to go hunting.
Yeah, no, I'm more on the prince side. So I think I would be Siegfried, but only because of my undying love for Siegfried and Roy, and their magical white tiger.
Maybe that white tiger was also a princess.
It could very well have been, but that is also a tragic ending. That's for another episode.
Yeah. Is there a manga adaptation about Siegfried and Roy that we can check out? Lastly, how would you recommend it? Like, it is hard because this is about dance, and Jason, you've said that you're unmoved by dance, so I don't know how much this resonates with your heart.
Well, so there's a couple things, right? Like, I'm definitely not interested in reading more of Danseur, this particular book, but I'm super interested in maybe sampling a couple other George Asakura stories, because I really like her art style a lot. And if this had been a different story about different plot elements, I might have been capable of getting really, really, really into it. I think she's an incredible visual storyteller. I think we've talked about it a little bit even here today in this discussion, but like there are plot points in this story that are kind of open to interpretation. Like Junpei falls asleep while watching the ballet. Well, why does that happen? Is it because he's bored? Is it because he's just tired? Is it because he's a jerk? Could be any one of those things, because she sets up all those elements like so beautifully, right? And I think that happens again and again in this story. But unfortunately, I just simply cannot. This is my lifetime allowance of reading about ballet. I can't read anymore. So, but I would recommend it to, if I knew someone who was definitely interested in ballet, I would say, this is going to be a great manga for you, because I think it's just beautiful to look at. So it didn't hit the mark for me, but yeah, I would check out some of her other work for sure.
What about you, Mark?
Yeah, no, I think the story for me, it was powerful. I think they're using ballet as a vehicle for a journey of self-discovery. So anyone who is, interested in that, which I think we all are, I think it's great for that. The anime, as we mentioned earlier, is out now, and it's really picking up steam. So I think this will probably build a little bit more of a global following, I think, for the series. And I don't know if like ballet if it's uniquely popular in Japan as opposed to other demographics or other markets, but I do notice a lot of ballet schools just around Tokyo and whatnot.
That's true. Yeah.
So I don't know, but I feel like ballet is something that's endemic worldwide, and that if you are into that, then I think this is definitely a story for you. So looking forward to seeing how this one grows and develops in the years ahead. But yeah, for me, I was gonna give it. I was going to give it 3 out of 5 pliés.
Mm-hmm. That was very
I'll give it a
ballet view.
330 out of a possible 540.
Which reminded me of snowboarding, by the way, 1080.
Yeah, I was like, same, actually. That's a Tony Hawk thing.
Yeah, so you were thinking that maybe Miyako would bust out her, skateboarding tricks or something after this, do some tricks with that. I'm sure there's a lot that also overlap with Jeet Kune Do, numbers,
ballet. Yeah, I mean, pretty much everyone is using the same moveset. The sports are basically palette swaps.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, I've noticed that about sports. It's just a different kind of ball.
Yeah.
I would also recommend this manga to this is going to sound really stupid, but people who love looking at hands and feet. I noticed that, I don't know if it's just this book or her other books as well, but George Asakura clearly loves to draw people's feet and people's hands in all sorts of elaborate positions. And I don't know, I'm sort of agnostic, but if you're into that, this is the book for you, let me tell you.
They got those jazz hands. We're talking about relationships falling apart in school. In elementary school, I was probably in the 4th grade. We had 2 groups of friends where we were drawing different comics. And we had one group that was like, oh yeah, we're going to draw these comics to the best of our ability, and it's going to be really, really good. And we're just going to make it real artistic and whatnot. And our comics are awesome. And then there was this other group that was like, no, it doesn't matter the art style. It's about the story. And they were doing this thing, which was
my people,
which was absolutely enraging the other group, where they would just use balls for hands, because drawing figures
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and George, she does both. She has storytelling and beautiful hands.
And hands, yeah.
That's something that we could have all aspired to have.
I was wondering how you were going to land that plane, Mark, but you did it.
I did. I brought it back to Haneda.
I didn't know where the journey was going, but it went full circle back to the hands. There's more than just hands. Well, I mean, as somebody who read Beyond, and I'm on 3, and I would wonder if I want to go more. It's just, the thing is, I have so much manga now, and
There's a lot of
Like,
manga to
damn
read
it.
out there in the world.
It is.
Like,
Yeah.
this is, it's a
Eventually
hard
gotta start picking and
life.
choosing.
It's a hard life reading all this manga, but I mean, it's a good life, but
It's the best life.
Yeah.
Alex, have you read any of other George Asakura stories?
no, but I am kind of like curious about this Koibumi, Biori that like got turned into a movie because it's only 3 volumes, so that means that
I'm gonna check that out.
you can get through it and then be like, oh, okay, that was a good read, and then just like close it and then go on with your life.
Just go.
That's
Put it
good
back on the shelf.
sometimes. Yeah.
Sounds like my speed. Cool. Well, if you read this story or any other stories that you want to tell us about, please email us at mangaroospodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on social media at Mangaroos. What are we on? We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're sort of on Instagram. We're thinking
Yeah,
about getting.
sorry.
We're not on Vine.
We're definitely not on Vine, but
not.
we wish we could be. And if you are listening to this, please give us a rating on whatever service you're listening to it on. It will really help us find more people that will listen to this. What are those people called? Listeners.
Listeners.
Yeah, we want to
Listeners.
find more of those. Next week, we will be reading a big one. We're going to be reading the volleyball manga Haikyuu. You may have heard of it. It's by Furudate Haruichi. Please join us.
Yeah, dust off that treasure box with us. Read along if you can. And we look forward to talking with you about it next week. Thanks for tuning in. See you then. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.